This is episode 70, a message from aliens, Nikola Tesla and Howard Hughes. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Walk with me. So, question for you all this morning. Have you ever had an extremely powerful just moment of clarity? I know you know what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy here. Like an epiphany, an aha, an instant moment where a thought just somehow entered and it's like, boom, everything just made sense. How many of you have had that experience before? I love the whole concept of just thoughts in general, like where the heck do they come from? And how in one instance you don't have it, and literally an instant later you have this thing called a thought that comes from somewhere, somehow, and boom, everything can shift. It's fascinating just in itself, thoughts, but what I'm talking about is really that, a thought. But sometimes those thoughts are extremely powerful. They're the right thing at the right time. And exactly what you're looking for, or maybe something you didn't even know you were looking for until it came. So I'm asking all of you this morning, obviously for a point. I had one of those extremely powerful moments of clarity this past weekend in a, let's just call it extremely interesting, very interesting place that I want to share with all of you. Hold on. Morning. And before I tell you the story, and it's going to be a good one, and it's a thought that hit me profoundly, and I think it has the ability to make an impact on you, which is why I want to share with all of you walking this morning. So I'm going to tell you the story of where this came, then I'll tell you what the epiphany was and my thoughts that I feel I want to share with all of you. But it was this weekend. So this weekend I actually went out to Joshua Tree for a belated birthday. So some of you probably caught a few weeks ago was my 40th birthday, and we were headed into a really big event, our annual Epic event that week. So I kind of pressed pause on my birthday, and Karis and I decided to push it back post the event and go celebrate last weekend. And we went out to Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree, for those of you guys who don't know, it's a national forest out in the desert here in California. Of the 400, you know there's over 400 national forests in our country? I've been to some amazing ones, some of my favorite places. Joshua Tree is consistently ranked in among the top 10 most popular, most visited. Just an amazing place, super unique as you get into the park. Just the most unusual rock boulder formations all over the place, unlike anywhere else in the world. And Joshua Tree is a form of cactus as far as the eye can see. Really gorgeous, truly a kind of a special place. And every year for my birthday, I try to use that as kind of my reflection point. It's kind of like my personal New Year's, where I reflect on the past year and set goals and intentions and focuses for the year ahead. And being 40 new decade for me. Wanted to spend some time. So went out there and had a whole spectrum of adventures, from hiking to off-roading. Got the new Raptor Dirty on the geology trail. Just spending some quality time, yoga. But one of the experiences was especially unique. We were staying at actually a friend's place, Wild Wolf Ranch. Some of our close friends have spent the last couple years building as a passion project. And they gave us a recommendation. They said, Blake, you guys got to go check out the Integratron. Have you guys heard of this? The Integratron. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Whew, top of the peak. A little out of breath. Gonna take a seat if that's okay with all of you. Got my strawberry peach ketones flowing this morning. So let's talk about the Integratron. So the Integratron, when you look at the photos, and you guys can go check out my Instagram, just at Blake Mallon, you can see I posted a slideshow and a couple photos of the machine, I guess is what you would refer it to. It's this perfectly shaped dome, but the history of the place is truly fascinating. Now, I'm going to give a big disclaimer here. I'm just going to share what was shared with me. These are publicly available, right? Details. I'm in no way saying these are fact or fiction. I'm in no way going to say these are true or false. I'm just going to pass along the information to you that was passed on to me because I think it's an interesting part of the story before I go into my epiphany moment that happened inside of it. But the Integratron was actually built in the 50s by a aeronautical engineer. Matter of fact, an individual that used to work for Howard Hughes. You guys remember Howard Hughes? And the way the story goes is he was inspired to build this specific machine in this specific place because he had a really unique experience. And the way he tells the experience is one night, somewhere in the 50s, he was actually abducted by aliens. People from Venus, actually, to be specific. He called them Venusians, I believe. True story. And in the conversation, so he describes, they were saying just humans just aren't smart enough. That's the problem. You know, human beings just aren't smart. And the reason we're not smart enough is we don't live long enough. And so the way he tells the story is when he was speaking with these people from Venus, they gave him very specific instructions to build a machine that would extend our human lifespan. And they gave him the exact blueprint and the exact coordinates of where to build this. And so fast forward, he ended up spending most of his life building what is now called the Integratron. And it's a crazy, crazy, crazy structure. And I'm not going to do it justice describing all of it. Not only is it a perfectly shaped dome, it's actually was built with zero metal, all entirely out of wood, which is crazy and fascinating how they built a perfectly shaped dome strictly out of wood. It was actually the same wood that built the spruce goose because he was the engineer that was helping build the spruce goose. And it was designed actually to spin on the outside and conduct an electrical current and funnel through this machine. And I'm not going to do it justice on the engineering behind it, but it's fascinating when you see it. And the concept was when the machine was done, if you stood on one side at a certain time, it was going to conduct a certain amount of electricity. And for every 10 seconds you were in the machine, it would reverse your cellular age 10 years. And this is what he spent his life building. And you fast forward, the individual actually spent years building this, never completed it, and then had a sudden heart attack. And instantly, all of his work that was going into the Integratron was taken. It disappeared. And that's the conspiracy of whether that was government or theft or the people from Venus. Nobody knows where it went. And so this machine is left unfinished. And now you can go there and they conduct sound baths. For those of you guys that are familiar with sound baths, kind of a cool meditative experience where they play vibrations of crystal or quartz bowls that creates an amazing sound, a very unique sound, and also a frequency or vibration. It's very meditative, very relaxing. And they opened it up for a few of us this past weekend. We had a private sound bath inside the Integratron. So I just wanted to share that story. Look it up if you're ever in Joshua Tree. It is an experience. I'll let you decide what is fact, what is fiction, what is true, what is false. I guess we'll never really know. But the moral of the story is if you're there, go check it out. And I had the ability to do this past weekend. And as I was sitting there, laying upside down, looking through the tiny hole at the top as the clouds were passing by in this perfect sphere made of only wood, listening to these songs or tunes from quartz bowls, so elegant, so relaxed, and just in a meditative state, not trying to think about anything, but obviously I've been going into that experience on my goals, my reflection, my intentions. Like that was what I was doing for my birthday. So that was pre-framed or preloaded for sure in the intention I had in my mind, but went in there just with no expectation and just to kind of relax and enjoy the experience. And as I was laying there, I had one thought come to me crystal clear. Crystal clear. And the one thought or word was meaning. Meaning. Now, like I said, I don't know where these come from, right? Where do all thoughts come from? I have no idea. But sometimes we have thoughts, they come and go. And sometimes we have thoughts, it's like, boom, moment of clarity, right? A shift. An aha. And for me this last weekend, that was the biggest thing I took out of it was meaning. Now, let me take that a few steps further because I've had a chance to reflect on, okay, what do I mean by the word or feeling of meaning? And I think it has to do with everything. You know, if we think about what we focus on, you know, I was setting my goals, right, for the year and for the decade. We think about what we strive for. What are you striving for right now? What are you focused on right now, right? What are your aspirations, ambitions, right, goals right now? And I hope you have them. If you're watching this, I'm sure you probably do. We've had enough conversations in that direction, hopefully to inspire you to think in some way forward. But for most of us, when we think about our goals or think about our vision or think about our future, we think about pursuing success, right? A lot of times it starts with kind of monetary benchmarks, certain amount of money, amount of income, certain things we want to have or own or do. You know, so there's a whole bucket of achievement, right? That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times that's where we put our focus or our intention. And you know, often we try to balance or sometimes even shift from a focus of achievement to a focus more on happiness, right? We want to be happy, right? We want to enjoy. We want to have fun, right? A fulfillment piece. But at the end of the day, here's my shift that I want to share with all of you today that I had this last week. And I think at the end of the day, our intention should be on meaning. Meaning. Yes, money is important. Yes, it's nice to have certain things. Yes, you know, we want to be happy. But I think above all of that comes meaning. There's three things that come to mind when I say meaning. You might say meaning what, right? I think meaning starts with, number one, meaningful relationships. A meaningful relationship in our life are people that are in our life, right, that add value to our life, that add meaning to our life. You know, there's a Harvard study I often like to cite because it's one of the longest running Harvard studies in the world. I think it's running 80 years now, where they basically measured a single class, right, of individuals over the course of their life as it related to kind of health, wealth, and happiness, right? So quality of life. And out of all the things, right, that you would think would lead to, right, success, health, wealth, happiness, right, measuring money or status or jobs or career or parts of the world or all the variables, the number one thing that was common in people that were the healthiest and the happiest and the most successful was quality relationships. It's the number one thing. The people they have in their circle. Meaningful relationships add meaning to our lives. Relationships that we have not out of motive, not because we want something from another. Someone wants something from us, we want something from them. Not out of convenience, just because it's there, right? But real, genuine, quality relationships rooted in love and caring for one another, unconditionally, without expectation. Meaningful relationships. And it's hard as we get older to have a lot of meaningful relationships in our life, balancing family and kids and work and career, right? Just in terms of the amount of time you can put in. But if there's one thing we're thinking about meaning, I would say meaningful relationships has to sit on top, and we have to put intention into cultivating, creating, sustaining meaningful relationships in our life, because meaningful relationships lead to a meaningful life. Second thing that comes to my mind is meaningful work. Let's state the obvious. Most of us on this planet are going to spend a lot of our life when it comes to just function of time in this thing we call work, whether it be our job or our career or our business or our endeavors and projects, right? What percentage of our life, if we were to timeline this thing out, do you think we spend on this thing we call work, right? So because it is such a big portion of our life, we better be doing something we feel is meaningful. Well, what is meaningful work? Guys, I think meaningful work means what we are doing has to be tied to something that's greater than just us. Yes, we have to be rewarded. Yes, we have to make a living. Yes, we should have appropriate value exchange for the value we give. We should get back. Yes, we should be able to live in abundance. I'm not saying, right, all of that is bad. All of that's great. But I think we have to be doing it in a direction where we feel it has a greater impact. Do something you love and do it for something greater than just you. At the end of the day, I think all of our purpose, if we get down to the root or foundation, is to contribute in some way. We all have different ways, different talents, different gifts to do that. We all do different things, maybe in different directions, but the outcome of all of that is to create a contribution outside just yourself. And that's what adds meaning to the work that we do. And if I think we get into ruts or valleys or states where we find ourselves being less fulfilled, feeling like we're running motions, feeling like we're stuck, feeling like there has to be more, it's because we're missing this piece of tying what we do to something meaningful. We got to be doing something for a bigger picture, a greater cause. And that greater cause could be one other person. It could be a few other people. It could be your family. It could be your neighborhood. It could be your community. Could be millions of people around the world, right? It doesn't matter what scale you want to play to. What matters is you associate meaning to what you do every single day, because meaningful work will lead to a meaningful life. And lastly, I'll say meaningful experiences. We've talked a lot in past conversations on my philosophy on moments and how we have to put intention on making moments matter. The difference between a minute and a minute goes by, a moment is intentionally remembered. And at the end of the day, when we look back on our life, all we're going to have is those memories of the moments that we collected. But it takes intention to have meaningful experiences. You can be in an amazing place. You can even be in an amazing place with amazing people. But if you don't put intention into creating and grabbing and capturing that moment, it's just going to fly by like every other minute. Meaningful experiences. Doing things we love with people we love. And it doesn't have to be extravagant or extraordinary. You can have a meaningful experience sitting in your own backyard. It all comes down to the intention, but those meaningful experiences at the end of the day, I think, lead to a meaningful life. So those are my thoughts. Meaning was the word. Wherever the thoughts come from, in a place it was clear. I think meaning, right, is something that transcends maybe the goals of success, money, happiness. And I think meaning maybe starts with an intention on meaningful relationships, meaningful work, and meaningful experiences. When it comes to the experiences, make sure you pause and turn minutes into moments with that intention to create meaning. Because I think at the end of the day, meaningful relationships, meaningful work, meaningful experiences, you can't help but have a meaningful life. Hey, if you guys got value from this, please share. You can always catch the replay in the future on Live by Design, on past conversations. I always love rates and reviews. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, go subscribe. Please leave some rates and reviews. I love reading and seeing all of those. Until the next time we walk together, make sure you guys stay safe and stay healthy. And here's to having meaning in our life starting this week. Take care, everybody.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people, to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMalin and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.